Hello, everyone. Hope you all are having a great summit experience today at the DevOps Summit Canada 2021 with amazing set of speakers lined up to deliver a few transformational use cases and stories here with you today and tomorrow. I can assure you there's a lot of new ideas and experiences to look forward to. Having said that, for this fire chat, I'm super excited to introduce you all today, a friend and a mentor personally to me, with whom I have had the opportunity to work together in our common years at SAP Labs. Welcome, Mr. Prasad Ramachandran.
Hi, Shantanu.
Hi, Prasad. So Prasad is a DevOps practice engineering leader at SAP Labs India. He has a track record of setting up full end-to-end software service ownership operating model multiple times, including establishing the SRE and DevOps engineering practice for a few large operating divisions, which he has successfully homegrown. And with that, few high performing teams were built within SAP Labs. So he has a deep, extensive experience in working with multi-regional, geographically distributed teams. And deep down, he is a hands-on leader, which time to time I had witnessed myself. So there is indeed a great excitement, and the outline that we are going to talk today about DevOps experience is going to be quite interesting with him. Having said that, to begin with, so Prasad, to set up a transformation culture within an organization of this scale, where do you think the element of vision comes up? We all know that we have to build upon and start developing the vision that we have to grow a digital transformation element like this. But in terms of growing up from the ground, having a lot of naysayers on the practice, where to start? How exactly do we build upon that? And how does the team collectively grows?
Thanks, Shantanu. That's a very interesting question when it comes to the vision. First of all, thanks for all the participants who are into the call, and and it's a very interesting journey. Connecting with you all virtually. Let's directly get into the point. And the vision is the most interesting stuff because that is where you define the purpose, and you need to start with why, and you need to build the vision in a way that it articulates the purpose and the value, right? And what value it adds to the customers and the products. And the vision should be in a way like it should give the kind of an benefit for the developer productivity as well as the customers benefits, right? It should be a more a balanced one. And once you have the vision, I think you have to go to the next step to ensure that to make it simple, it should be easily understandable to your teams, be it a transformational vision or a DevOps transformational, anything of that sort. So then, I think you also touched upon the collective enthusiasm part of the the vision, and how do we go about it. If you look at once you have a vision, you need to probably look on the ideas that is coming from your teams internally, and looking at what are the improvements and suggestions that we need to go, right? So you need to groom the ideas one after another and give an opportunity for the teams to take it forward to the next level. Most importantly, as a leader, what I think is you need to create an environment where the teams needs to fail first and fail fast and fail safe as well. We usually call they fail first and fail fast, but are they failing safe? And are you able to probably mentor them and guide them to take those transformational ideas or the intelligent ideas that they are coming up with and go to the next level? And once you are there, the first easy wins always we should celebrate, right? Celebrate should follow the initial ones. Once you have a little bit of a booster and an enthusiasm on the vision, I think, yeah, then you are setting that up in a proper way.
Well, that's a very great statement, Prasad. At the end of the day, whenever we think of taking a leap of faith and doing something different, which we are not doing, there's a high probability of failure. And if we cannot celebrate our own failures, there will not be a day when we can, justifyingly celebrate our success as well. So we have to be in a mode where we can celebrate what we are doing rather than the outcome. And eventually the outcome will be worthy enough to be celebrated again. So that's a very great point in terms of growing within the teams. But one point, Prasad, which is quite, a point which I think is not very easy to answer. But in terms of a leader, I've kind of had a firm belief that every leader has gone through this problem one or the other time. The apprehensions of your peers. So when you have a mindset of growing into a new tech world with the new technologies that you see, there will be comfortable people who will have certain apprehensions of not taking that leap. They will be the ones who will try to show you the not so green land. So how do you tackle that kind of an apprehension mindset, or apprehensive mindset, and handle those leaders so that your team is continuously motivated by your statements and your vision?
Yeah, Shantanu, yeah, understood. I think it's a very interesting question, and usually always there will be remarks that comes on your way to say, hey, is this the right way that you are going, and is it the right path that you are going? What are the consequences of this one? Would we be successful or not, right? So any journey when it starts, always all these questions comes in, and the leader's contribution, or anyone into that level, you need to bring the trust within the team, right? So, and the trust ship, the what to call, right? We usually call as a trustworthy leader, to put it in the right term, right? So you need to elevate yourself as a trustworthy leader, and this is not something easy to build, because you have to work towards it, and you need to really take care of your east west as well as the north south communications, because be it inside an Kubernetes operating system, or be it in an organization, wherever you are, understanding these communications are, it's like a very important stuff. Then how do we take it forward, right? And another very important stuff, we have to build bridges and not silos, and this is one of the important value that we always embrace. And once we do this one, and and listen to everyone with the right empathy, as well as understand the apprehensions that is coming in. So usually every apprehension has a point, and it's not like originated just in the air. And you have to consider that as an stepping stone, and convert that into a kind of an mutually actionable items, so that it grows and people started contributing towards the common idea, and it's not like an it is one way story here, right? So that's how we have to turn it around.
Nice point to think, Prasad. And now, in terms of the vision that we see, once a leader solidifies a vision, everybody is energetic, and they look forward to building upon with the leader that particular goal that they have planned. So for that, they have to outline some best practices. In the noise that we see around DevOps these days, there are a lot and lot of suggestions around best practices, in terms of how tools are to be leveraged, how cultures are to be thought through, how practices are or skills are evolving day by day, year by year. So it's very obviously, I'll say, it's very difficult for a leader to solidify a singular vision in terms of what the best practices should be. In terms of a skill set, how do you think the leaders who are building with you the whole practices that you are growing within an organization, how should they be prepared? What are the mindset? How is the openness to change that they take?
It's a very interesting and good question, Shantanu. Once again, I think in terms of the skill set, I think it's most obvious, be it in a DevOps domain or even a non-DevOps domain as well. The way I would look at is, there are around 4 or 5 elements that the leaders needs to take care of. One, managing yourself. You have to have a realistic self-assessment of yourself, and you need to manage your emotions, and you should be able to motivate your teams. So this all comes into your emotional intelligence part of the story. How do you balance it, and how do you bring that to the table, right? So then comes to your technology, and where you need to continuously innovate and continuously learning, right? The continuous learning is be it in any domain, right? Be it a DevOps domain or a non-DevOps domain, because we are in a completely a digital transformation journey, and you need to look every domain and subdomain elements, and you need to have a kind of a vision within yourself to say, okay, what are the different target levels that I need to put for myself and put for my team in order to navigate from the point A to point B, and what are the unique components in that one, and are we solving the right problems only one, or are we solving the right the problems many times in multiple ways within the organization. So you can navigate this through, and for that you need to invest on yourself and keep bring with your skills and knowledge. Then the third aspect is working with your team and triggering the spark, I would call. So you need to trigger the right spark to the team, so that they are inspired and they'll be able to drive more values to get the right outcome. And it's a kind of an inclusive culture, and you need to bring the right elements to the party. It's not always you can solve the problem in only one way, and there is no one solution to one problem, right? You can find out many different solutions. Then you have, how do you define the problems? And this is where a very interesting aspect come, where most often I have seen that teams define the problems very ambiguously, and it is not with clarity. So I would recommend personally any problems to be defined in a precisely in a breakdown structure, and so that the VUCA world, so called in the PMI practice world, the volatility, complexity, ambiguity, right? So the VUCA world needs to be taken away, and more clarity should emerge over a period of time. And if someone follows these are 4 or 5 principles into the practices, usually the best practice will automatically emerge. And there's no best practice; it is always a better practice, and it has to be defined by themselves for their teams, and it has to continuously evolve.
Nice point, Prasad. So I like this, that there's nothing best. It's always better and better. And in terms of how we evolve, so this is the exciting element for this whole discussion. According to me, I'll say I love backstories that we talk about. In terms of everything that you have done so far with the teams that you have been a part of, or the divisions that you have actually transformed, there is always I'll say openness in you that you think about growing with the team, and that's the mindset you go in a team for. That when you enter a team, you know that there is a actualization I have to encounter. I have to see what exactly they are in, and slowly it's all evolution. But evolutionary, you are going to change it bit by bit, pieces by pieces. And when I see that whole trajectory in a matter of maybe few quarters, I see that the change in the team's attitude as well as aptitude is happening. So you told me some time back, I remember that there in an offline discussion, that there is nothing called as aptitude which can't be built if there is a right attitude. So I like that point, and that's something which excites me to talk to you again and again about the backstories of your leadership. In terms of the transformation you have done, this is something you have worked on to build as a culture and practice from teams to teams, divisions to divisions you have been a part of. What, according to you, is the key spark that triggers when you enter a new division and you see that this needs to be transformed or this has the potential to be transformed? And how do you grow upon that? If you can give us a few examples.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for that. So the background and the backstories, Shantanu. I think more often when I've seen the teams, there is an initial resistance that always comes. Okay, what is this one person is going to bring to the table, right? And that's where I think we need to be really mindful and have a real focus to the problem at hand. You need to understand the problem pretty well, and you need to become a practitioner to understand the problem along with the team. It cannot happen in an isolated way where we get into a whiteboard and define something and expect teams to follow. No, that never happens. You need to sit along with the team and side by side and understand what they are undergoing and why they are doing it. And they have real good ideas. Probably they might not be able to implement it and take it forward to the next level. So go Gemba. So first in is go Gemba is the most important stuff. You need to be on the Gemba. My 10 years Japanese practice and being in Japan had taught me a very good thing of being at Gemba. You please be at Gemba. Once you understand your Gemba very well, then you have to work on a Kaizen way, right? So Kaizen is nothing but you need to incrementally improve the change in the culture, the change in the way you do the things. A 1% increment or an improvement that you do daily, if you sum it up, it's a huge incentive. And when you enable everyone to make that 1% automatically by themselves, and that where your transformation begins, and it can become a multipliers. So you need to identify the multipliers within your team and the execution, right? So usually I've seen many teams, if they have a problems, there is no dearth of ideas, right? So there are more ideas will come, but the very premium thing in any of the transformation is the execution. Execution is the core premium and not generating ideas, because you can have a very costly solution also, you can have a very simple solution also, and some simple solutions can only sustain for an amount of period. Then you might need to transform that solution from and to another solution. So what is most important is, are you solving the problems now, and are you solving the problems for a benefit? And if that cost benefit analysis and the solution that you are picking it up, if that is good enough, go for it. then you go into a transformational. In a very simple idea, you might know a developer who is telling to you might not be the best solution, best architecture, not with all design principles, but it can solve the problem for now. And if that can happen, then go with it one step at a time, right? So that's all about Kaizen. So once you have solved the problem, then you can go into in the incremental way. And this is all about the transformation that I usually see. And it is more a practitioner's approach rather than a bookish approach here. And it takes time, but you need to be patient and you need to practice this.
Now, this is a point blank question, Prasad. I know you'll be playing safe on this, but this is a question I've asked you offline a lot of times, but let me ask you online. Enterprises at this scale that you operate in, they are very good at acknowledging transformation stories, use cases, and publishing, their acceptance of how this whole transformation looks like according to them, but are very slow in evolving themselves within. So when we talk about a lot of new technologies like AI, ML, DevOps, SRE, these are not something new as revolutionary, but these were more evolutionary ecosystems of growing up in operations. Now I've seen that, I'll say enterprises. That's the reason I'm not putting up growing enterprises or maybe, the startups or these organizations who have an appetite of taking and playing with these tech growing ups, I'll say. But in terms of an enterprise, they publicly are very okay, but internally within the organization, there is always a difficulty in accepting this and growing within. Your comments on that?
Chandra, I think it's a very difficult question, and I would say it's a most interesting question as well, because the moment we call as an enterprise, right? So we are talking about a large size or a very very large size, and it has a legacy of very good things that is coming in the past, right? So I would say I think what we are missing essentially today is the founders mentality. Okay, if you are part of an enterprise and you have a founders mentality, and you can probably ignite that obsessiveness of of the ownership within your team, and top to bottom and left to right. And I think that's a transformation where any organization can turn, and then you will find a lot of agility in that. I think where a lot of gap I see is that the founders mentality and the frontline obsessiveness usually lacks. And you can see within an enterprise organization there are few teams do really successful, and we have seen many examples between many organizations, and there are certain things won't be that much successful. And it's a continuous transformation journey. And in my personal experience, the way I look at it is this mentality of the founders mindset, and having an ownership and ability to take their own decisions, and fail safe and fail fast, and learning from the problems that that they faced, and transforming it much more quickly, right? And these are the three different, three or four. And I also would like to quote, I think one of the very management principle that also comes into the things. If you look at it's like you being in the present, and how do you forget the past, and how do you transform your future, right? So you need to mix all those things in, because any transformation journey, if you look at any kind of brownfield projects, you need to do a transformation and you need to do a turnaround of that one, right? If you do a transformation and turnaround, then you need to manage the present, because you cannot let the present go. It will impact you. And at the same time, the past is what led to present, so you need to forget it, and you need to reinvent yourself, maybe by new teams or new ideas, and invest on the future. So it's almost a balance game. And again, as you rightly said, it's more into attitude than an aptitude. And once you have the right attitude and right emotional intelligence or EQ in place, and more the AQ, which I call adaptability quotient, and if these three things comes in, I think any team can be really a super success team on their own.
Very nice, thought-provoking point, Prasad. I like this because it's actually the on-ground problem. We see, coming from an enterprise background myself, I see that it's indeed very difficult to resonate transformation culture within a company who is so deep-rooted with a lot of different problems. So it could not be technical. It could be
Yeah.
circumstantial. It could be mindset, but it's very difficult to echo the similar growth mindset which I think a startup will have. So that kind of a mindset is very difficult to have. But if somebody passes that line and starts building up that's when the actual transformation has happened. And beyond that, it's just attitude. How can you take it ahead? So that aptitude quotient is over. Now it's more about the attitude, how to maintain that acceleration in transformation. Very nice point, Prasad. Moving on to that point, or maybe I'll say one more question on this, Prasad. So what, according to you, is the alignment that an organization seeks to culturally reinvent itself continuously in this age of digital transformation? There could be talent, there could be, the factors could be because of the way market is growing up in order to compete and thrive in the market. But what should the organization seek culturally to compete?
See, the culture aspect is being widely discussed, in many, forums and in many ways, and it's I would say it's a little bit, a kind of an ambiguous and area as well, because how do you define culture and what is your culture all about, and how do you bring the people and talents, right? But personally, in my opinion, if you look at, uh, you know, the key ingredient of an organization is your talent, and investing on the talent is most important stuff, and you should enable the talent to find their own the target, and they should come up with their own plans, how they will be able to contribute toward the organization, and how what are the areas that they want to self invest themselves in order to skill up them. It should not be another way around. It's not like, and you have a target, and you identify what are the trainings that they undergo, but rather than, it is more a personalized approach that you need to work towards every individual in your team or in your organization. That's more effective, what I have seen. And and we should enable the teams to probably challenge their own status quo. It's not like we challenge their status quo, right? So teams should be motivated themselves to say, hey, I have achieved this and I need to go to next level. How can I do this one? And there is a very famous saying, right? What got you here will not get you there. And that is always applicable to any industry or any thing, right? It's like a golden statement that we have, be it a DevOps or non-DevOps, or even the same problem on the travel that we are still solving for millions of years, right? How do we travel from one place to another place, right? So that's the same kind of stuff. So the culture is the most important stuff. I personally will feel, I think we can stop the culture debate rather than let's get into actions immediately, and learn via actions, right? So that's how you need to build your culture, so that it takes you from where are you and go towards your target, and it's all going to be continuous transformation, because culture is not something you define one day and it is being just followed next day. That's not like that, right? Even you want to request the team to follow certain things, it won't happen immediately. Yeah, so you need to ensure that maybe I have done personally so many follow-ups in order to ensure something has been conveyed rightly to the team, and most of the times they will not be able to understand. It is because they have not acknowledged or appreciated the meaning or the value that you want to tell to them.
Extending your last point, Prasad, I like that part. As a leader, I know it's very, very difficult if you get stuck because of something you are not in control of. And it keeps, as a leader, you completely discouraged and disheartened because of the factors that you can't bring under your control. So, in the space of transformation, I've seen a lot of good leaders seeking something from the team that they are a part of, the division or the organization they are a part of. But because they could not get it, they look forward to something else. So, I don't think that's the right mindset, because if there is an intent of changing something, there is a way of changing something. And you have done it time to time in an organization, which typically takes a lot of factors into consideration to invest in something like this. So, what are the key challenges as a strategic leader you have faced within the organization's way of evolving these kind of processes and practices in place?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think it's a very, very interesting question, Shantanu. Once again, thanks for this one. See, I would put these challenges into 4 or 5 categories. Usually, we will have a right vision, because we all can think great ideas and we'll be able to write it down and we'll make it simple. I think the biggest problem I see is once you have a vision, how do you convert that into an executable strategy? right? So what is your strategy? Who are the right people that you need to get in? Do you have the right skills in place? Do you have a right timeline in place? Do you have the resources, that has been accumulated towards it? So I draw a lot of parallel from the simple project management techniques that has been that we have been practicing time to time. Then it comes all about execution, right? So you have a vision, then you have a strategy, and you have vision and execution. So what usually happens is there is a widening gap that is happening between your vision to an strategy and strategy to an execution. This is the one of the biggest stuff. And the reason usually happen is because the person who puts up the vision and the person who thinks the strategy, which is more an how part, and the person who put that into execution are not the same persona. And you need to have your own feedback loop back to this one, and this can be only done by practitioners. If you are not a practitioner and you stay away from your and defining only the vision, and you see strategy will be done by someone else, and you see execution will be done by someone else, and you are not doing a feedback loop, the gap widens. You need to go to Gemba and understand it and put the feedback loop so that it connects. The second most important thing, the low velocity decision making. If you have the right feedback loop, usually the decision making is much more faster. So if you don't have that one, that's where the problem comes. Then your expectation and the performance, and are we solving the right problems in the right priority, right? So this is the another aspect. So this is where usually and people will miss it. And are we solving the problem in a most effective way? Yeah, once the problem is fixed, or is it fixed only for the time duration with the time limit towards it, right? And you should be acknowledgeable and knowledgeable what kind of problem you are fixing and how long it can wait. It can be put a band-aid, that's also a problem, you are solving it, or you can put a much more in a long-term solution to certain things, but you require a first aid care as well, right, at times. So you need to go through this one. And what I've seen is a solution usually stands for 80% of the scenario, and usually then the remaining 20% always goes into an improvement. If someone goes through this systematically, what is the not allowing the gap getting widening, and having an insight of your gemba, and low velocity decision making is not there, and managing your expectations with the teams and managing their performance and bringing it back to them and solving the right order of priority, I think then we are into the phase. I think most of the challenges can be managed via these principles.
I liked your whole summarization on this, continuous transformation model. When you actually invest in your domain continuously, the zeal that you have in making things better is so high that you will end up cataloging this whole pool of vision, strategy, and execution that you said will quantify the performance that you want to bring out of it. So I honestly enjoyed this whole continuous transformation mindset that you have put in place time to time, Prasad. But in terms of evolving through inspiration, and I know this is a very uh, broader question to answer in this time period, but I wanted our audience to know this. In terms of evolving with inspiration, you have quoted a lot of times that you have seen certain things and that made you a better human being in terms of building up something better that you are doing with your work. So everything that happens around you inspires you to do something better. That's the kind of I'll say next generation leaders we have been seeing these days. So in terms of you as a leader who has gone through a lot of reluctances within the teams to make something bigger and eventually have made that team better in terms of what they are doing and all. And I've got very good, quantified matrix for that. So I know I don't have to justify myself. But in terms of keeping your team members and your divisional pods aligned with your goals throughout, and every time when you take a strategy, when you take a strategical decision, which may be something which is not very easy to stick, how do you keep the team's motivation and the zeal to help you go beyond the boundaries and help you forever so that what you see now is something they witness when it actually happens? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I think it's a very long question and complex question, but I'll give a simple answer to this one. Let me attempt it. I think it all goes to what is your vision and how do you convey your vision. And if your vision is simple and you make it easy, be it in any domain, right? So it should not be difficult for anyone to understand what we are doing, and it should not be difficult for anyone even to get into the domain and learn and do it, right? Making it things simple is the toughest job of a leader. And we usually we more focus on the execution, performance, results, KPIs, but we forget on making the things simpler at the first place, right? And this is one thing, right? You need to have your vision, goals, and make it simple and make it transparency to the teams, and so that it is easy for them to consume. The second important aspect, when you discuss with your teams, you need to have a collective ownership with them, right? It is not only the problem, it is also every also into the system who sees the same problem, right, as you. So what happens is the same problem is not only looked with the two pair of eyes, but it's been looked by your entire team with the same inspiration, with the same ownership. There is no need for you to around to solve the problem. You can trust on your team and they'll be able to take care and they'll be able to solve the problem, because that is the zeal what you have already given to them, or that's how you have worked with them. It's like a co-ownership model, right? Then you always have groom the right talent to the next level, and also identify the multipliers, because it's not possible for in a team that everyone got the right talent and everyone got the right experience levels in order to appreciate what you are doing, right? So you need to identify your multipliers. Be it any team size, be it any ratio, you'll always find your multipliers, and you always able to identify and groom them. And that is one of the key things. Once they solve the problem, again we should celebrate the achievements. And via with this, I think be it any challenge that we go through, and the team will be in the same page along with you always.
Thank you, Prasad. It was just a flip of, I'll say, I saw 30 minutes are over for me. So I am absolutely honored to have you and host you today. And I hope with me, our audience enjoyed listening to you and your journey as well. We will look forward to talking to you one to one on the breakout room. So everybody, if you have any questions, please join us in the breakout lounge room where Prasad will be there to help you with your questions. Thank you, Prasad, for joining us today. And I hope you will also enjoy the summit as our audience is doing right now.
Thank you, Shantanu, and thank you everyone for listening to this conversation. It's really great to be part of this great summit, and happy learning and happy doing and be a practitioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.